There was a time when I thought that caring deeply about everything and everyone would make my life better. I believed that if I invested all my energy into solving problems, pleasing people, and being perfect, I would finally find happiness. But instead, I found myself drained, unfulfilled, and constantly questioning if I was doing enough. It felt like I was running in circles, giving everything I had and receiving very little in return. Then something shifted. I realized that the problem wasn't the world around me. It was my inability to let go. I cared too much about things that didn't matter, invested too much in people who didn't value me, and placed expectations on myself that were impossible to meet. It was exhausting. When I decided to stop trying so hard to control everything, something remarkable happened. I felt lighter. I started focusing on what truly mattered to me and stopped letting external noise dictate my happiness. At first, it felt strange, almost like I was doing something wrong. But soon, I understood that this wasn't about becoming cold or distant. It was about creating boundaries and choosing where to direct my energy. One of the hardest lessons I had to learn was that not everything requires my attention. There are situations where my involvement makes no difference, and that's okay. There are people who will never appreciate my efforts, and that's okay too. Life doesn't always need me to fix, solve, or understand every detail. When I started stepping back and observing rather than reacting, I began to see things more clearly. Imagine being caught up in a storm where every drop of rain feels overwhelming. But if you step out of it and watch from a distance, you see the storm for what it is: temporary, fleeting, and out of your control. That's what indifference feels like. It's not about shutting down your emotions or pretending that nothing affects you. It's about knowing what's worth your time and energy and what isn't. It's about understanding that some battles aren't meant to be fought and some relationships aren't meant to last. For example, I used to feel devastated when someone let me down. Whether it was a friend, a coworker, or even a stranger, I took every disappointment personally. I would overanalyze what I did wrong, trying to figure out how I could fix it. But now, I realize that not everything is my responsibility. Sometimes people's actions have nothing to do with me, and it's not my job to carry their baggage. Letting go of that need to constantly prove myself or seek approval has been one of the most liberating things I've ever done. I no longer waste energy worrying about what others think of me. Instead, I focus on my own well-being and the things that bring me joy. It's important to understand that indifference isn't about apathy. It's not about turning your back on the world or refusing to care about anything. It's about balance. You can still be kind, compassionate, and supportive while protecting your energy. You can still love deeply without losing yourself in the process. When I look back, I see how much time I wasted trying to hold on to things that didn't serve me. Whether it was relationships that had run their course, goals that no longer aligned with my values, or even small, everyday frustrations, I gave too much power to things that didn't deserve it. Now, I approach life with a sense of detachment, not because I don't care, but because I've learned that not everything needs to matter so much. Once I started letting go of unnecessary attachments, I noticed a significant change in how I felt. Things that used to bother me no longer had the same impact. I stopped reacting to every little inconvenience or setback, and instead, I began to focus on solutions, or sometimes on simply letting the situation be. One example that comes to mind is an argument I once had with a close friend. In the past, I would have spent days replaying the conversation in my head, thinking about what I should have said or done differently. I would have overanalyzed every word, convinced that it was my responsibility to make things right. But when I embraced indifference, I learned to let it go. I understood that not every conflict needs to be resolved immediately, and that sometimes giving people space is the best way to move forward. This mindset doesn't mean you ignore problems or avoid responsibility. It simply means you choose where to direct your attention and energy. When you stop clinging to the need for control, you realize that many things will resolve themselves without your intervention. And if they don't, that's okay too. Life will go on. Indifference also taught me the value of saying no. For so long, I thought I had to agree to every request, every opportunity, every demand placed on me. I was afraid that saying no would make people think less of me, or that I would miss out on something important. But constantly saying yes left me overwhelmed and stretched too thin. Now, I understand that saying no isn't selfish. It's necessary. When I say no to something that doesn't align with my priorities, I'm actually saying yes to myself. I'm protecting my time, my energy, and my peace of mind. And in doing so, I'm able to give my best to the things that truly matter. There's another important lesson I've learned. Not everyone deserves a place in your life. Some people bring joy and positivity, while others drain you with negativity or selfishness. It's okay to distance yourself from relationships that no longer serve you. You're not obligated to hold on to people just because they've been in your life for a long time. This doesn't mean you have to cut people off abruptly or without reason. It simply means being mindful of who you surround yourself with. Your time and energy are precious, and the people in your life should respect and appreciate that. As I began to prioritize my own well-being, I also noticed that I became more present in the moment. When you stop worrying about things you can't control, you create space for joy, gratitude, and peace. You start noticing the little things, like the warmth of the sun on your skin, the sound of birds chirping, or the way a good conversation can brighten your day. These simple moments, which often go unnoticed when you're consumed by stress, suddenly become sources of genuine happiness. This change in perspective has made me more resilient. Life is unpredictable, and challenges will always come our way. But when you approach life with indifference, you're no longer thrown off balance by every obstacle. You learn to adapt, to let go of what you can't change, and to focus on what you can. For example, I used to get frustrated when things didn't go according to plan. Whether it was a delayed flight, a failed project, or even bad weather, I would let these minor inconveniences ruin my mood. But now, I see these moments as opportunities to practice patience and flexibility. I remind myself that most problems are temporary, and my reaction is what determines their impact on me. Indifference has also helped me redefine success. For a long time, I thought success meant achieving certain milestones, getting a promotion, buying a house, or reaching a specific income level. I pushed myself relentlessly, always striving for the next goal, but the satisfaction was always short-lived. Now, I see success differently. It's not about external achievements or the approval of others. It's about living a life that feels meaningful to me. It's about having time for the people and activities I love, feeling at peace with myself, and appreciating the journey instead of constantly chasing the destination. Letting go doesn't happen overnight. It's a process that requires patience and self-awareness. There will be moments when old habits creep back in, when you find yourself caring too much about something that doesn't matter. But with practice, it becomes easier to recognize these patterns and shift your focus.